Hey YouTube. So today I'm trying to go back together with the 3420 transmission. Have to excuse me if my voice is pretty bad. Been fighting off a cough and sore throat. Could be worse, could be the flu, right? So where we're at here is I'm putting together this main shaft that controls basically all your gear ranges, your synchronizers, all of that. And when I tore this down, I had bad synchronizers. I had there's some failed roller bearings. And from Deere, this synchronizer, which has got two synchronizers on it, it's a pack, $2,600. Okay, one of them was in the States, one in Canada, 2 or 3 over in Europe. $2,600, and requires 2 of them. Here's the other one. Bearings. These are all metric bearings. From Deere, these larger bearings, they were around $100 per bearing race pair for the large ones. These small ones were around $50 a pair. So count that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 100, 700, 800. I paid $247 for the large ones, $55 for the small ones. I have $300 in bearings, and they are the same brand. Some of these bearings were made in Poland, some were made in France, some were made in the UK, some were made in, I forget where, Spain, I think. None of them were made in the US. So what did I end up doing about the synchronizers? Excuse me, get a drink of water here. So the synchronizers, what I did, because I figure I use second and third gear a lot, use fourth a decent amount, I don't hardly ever use first. So what I did was, you guys all understand how synchronizer works. These are your cones. The brass is your cone. These are your cups. These fit over the cone. When you shift, you're basically pressing the cone against the cup, and it stops, synchronizes your gear, and everything meshes. So what I did was, you can tell this is the burnt one, it's brown, and I had a burnt one on each synchronizer pack, so I needed 2 synchronizers. I took this into my local weld shop, and this guy he's pretty darn good. I had him braze up the outside edge of the synchronizer out past where it needed to be, and then he put it in his lathe and he machined steps into that outside that progressively got larger as it works its way in, so it was cone shaped. And he did that to mimic the OEM size. So the good part of this was we had something to go off of. So he basically built this up, turned it down in a lathe, and wouldn't you know it, everything fits nicely. The burnt up cones, they're just discolored. They really weren't damaged since they're steel, and they were running against a bronze brass aluminum alloy, so of course the steel wins. So I was able to reuse those and that works good. So what I'm going to do is, when I put this together, I'm going to put the good existing synchronizers on the second, third gear, so I know those are going to work, and I'm going to put these ones that have been rebuilt on the fourth and first gear, so they won't get used as much, and maybe I can make this thing work for a good long time. I'm going to reassemble everything here with some, I've just been using some TRC 880 crown and chassis grease, just some nice sticky red stuff. When I go back together, I've got some of their hydraulic fluid on order. It's they call it the UTF red. It's got some tackiness in it, sticks to everything better. I just can't afford to do this again. And the nice thing is, I mean, these transmissions are, you know, they're 5-gallon, 4-gallon capacity. I'm gonna take some cheaper hydraulic oil and flush this out real good when it's back together. Flush out the torque converter 2 or 3 times, dump this oil out, flush it, and then we'll go in with the good stuff. So in the meantime, I've got to finish assembling that shaft, put new bearings on all of these. The stinker is going to be in the case here. I have to shim these races, assemble the case with all the shafts, and then check my end play on the shafts to just about 3 or 4 thousandths of an inch on each shaft, each of these big shafts. That's going to be very time consuming, and it's something I've got to get right. So wanted to show you where I was at with the 3420. All in all, I think this is going to be a successful repair. What's kind of spooky is I priced out a new transmission. Come to find out, they are obsolete for this. This is a 14-year-old machine. We've got one on the other side of the shop that's it's a 12-year-old machine. They take a very similar transmission, obsolete. And I never thought I'd see that on a John Deere. Something that, I'm not going to call it new, but it's definitely not old. Hopefully they continue to build parts for them. So I'm going to leave you with that. I'll pick this up maybe as we go along in a couple places and go from there.